Let's talk about Bitcoin. In the past few weeks, Bitcoin has been declining all the way from its highs of mid $60,000, falling to its most recent lows of $30,000 in the past week. The altcoin market has also ensued with bloodbaths, with some altcoins losing as much as 60 to 70% of their values in just a few days. This price action inevitably drove a lot of retail traders and newbies into panic mode and had them selling off their cryptos, which inevitably drove the price down some more. All this fraud has sure left the questions in a lot of people's minds, as I'm sure yours as well. Is Bitcoin still worth it? Well, the simple answer is yes, and I'm going to prove it to you by showing you that this has happened multiple times in the past, and not only that, but the price has always recovered from these dips. And when we come out on the other side, we end up finding out that a lot of smart people had bought the dip and saw that as an opportunity to buy as many cryptos as they could. And I'm also going to be showing you how to properly buy the dips as well. So if you would like to find out how to do that as well, stay tuned to the end of the video. Before we continue, I would like to say that everything I say in this video isn't financial advice and is just my opinion, and you should do your due diligence before investing in crypto because it can be risky. Now, I'm taking us back to the earlier days of Bitcoin. So you can see we had the price of around $463. This was when Bitcoin was really cheap. So if you're one of the lucky few that got into this market and started buying during this time, around this time was when the market really started pumping towards the high that we had in 2017. If you went here in 2017, Bitcoin got to a high of around $19,000 before dropping. Now let's see how much percentage that was. We start all the way from here and then we move all the way to the top. This was the high of 2017. Now, how many percentage return is that? 6,906% return. Meaning, if you had gotten a few Bitcoin around this price, as at the peak of 2017, you would have a return of 6,000%. Now, let's look at what happened to the market right after that. We had a huge crash or a huge correction of the market by how many percent? 84.11%. This was a 84% correction. This was when people were saying that Bitcoin was dead. This was when people were saying that Bitcoin was a scam. There was just fraud everywhere. There was panic in the market. I would admit a lot of people actually got into the market just to make money. So as soon as it started crashing, everybody just started selling their Bitcoin into the market, which really drove the price lower. We got to a high during early December of 19,000, and then by February of 2019, we had already crashed down. This was the whole 2 years that Bitcoin was going down. This was a whole 2 years. Now, everybody at this point had believed that Bitcoin was dead. But guess what the smart ones were doing? Buying Bitcoin. Now, let's see what happened right after that. As you can see, the market recovered all the way back to $13,000, and then we had a 359% return, meaning that if you're one of the smart ones that was buying as it was crashing, as the market started recovering, you've already made a good return on your investment. But look at what happened to the market again right after it had grown 359%. 359% is a good return, okay? Look at what happened to the market. The market crashed back down again, or had another correction again, right back down to 73%. But I'm sure as this market came back right down to 3,700, a lot of people panicked, a lot of people sold, but the smart ones kept buying into the market because they understood Bitcoin and they know that Bitcoin is for the long haul, right? This was around the time of COVID-19, so stock market was down, every economy was locking up, so every financial instrument was just down, right? Which also affected the cryptocurrency market as well. But guess what the newbies would have been doing? They would have been selling their Bitcoin, while the smart ones would have been buying into the market. This is a 73% drop, guys. But is this a reason to sell your Bitcoin? No. I would like to let you guys know that you only lose your money when you sell your Bitcoin. You always want to do the opposite, guys. When the market is going down, that is the time you actually buy because you're getting it for cheap. But I understand that most people don't understand the crypto market, or they don't even understand the problems that Bitcoin is trying to solve, so which makes them lack faith in it. This is why you need to do your research, because if you do your research, you will understand what Bitcoin is trying to do, and you will understand that it's actually starting to do that on a larger scale as time goes by, right? So you will see every drop as a huge opportunity to get Bitcoin cheap. Now, let's see what happens after this huge drop in 2020. This was the huge drop here. What did we have right after that? The ride all the way to $64,000. Meaning that if you had bought all the way from here or along the way, you would roughly have around 1000% return, or at least 1500% return on your profit. Look at all the lows I was showing you guys earlier. Now look at the beginning over here. You see we got to a high here, came back down. Do you see how insignificant all these moves were? So this was the time leading up to 2017, late 2017, early 2018. This was the high over here. Then we came back down. We recovered a little bit into 2020, and then we crashed back down again. But guess what the smart ones were doing? They had Bitcoin from here leading up, but as they started getting good return on what they had originally invested, they started taking some out all the way to its high. When they were taking some out, what they didn't do was take some out to, you know, go and spend it somewhere. I mean, of course you could go and spend it, it's your money, right? Whatever you want to do with it. But they were saving a huge chunk of it so that they could buy back down when the market was going back down. Because no matter what, if you're new to any type of market, this happens in the financial market, this happens in the forex market, this happens in the stock market, crypto is no different as well. Whatever goes up comes back down, and then guess what happens after that? Goes right back up. And guess what we had right after that? A huge return of over 1000%. What do we have now? We have a correction of about 57%, and everybody is panicking, right? This is just a 57% correction when we've had 73% in the past, and then this was the over 80% correction as well. So we've had these in the past, and you see how insignificant these are compared to where the market moved to in the recent times. So you can see that the correction is a very healthy correction. And guess what the smart ones are doing right now? They've been buying Bitcoin at a very cheap price, because before you know it again, we break this high and keep going. Even if it takes us a few months, even if it takes us a year, even if it takes us a year and a half, we will definitely break through this high and continue on the top side. And guess what? This move to the top side didn't just move in a straight line. Even within this whole movement, there was a retracement of like 30%, maybe 40%, 20% on its way all the way to $65,000, which means there's a lot of opportunities to also still get into the market and compound your wealth. So if I'm to go to the daily time frame right now, daily time frame meaning that every candle is not going to be a day. This is where we currently are today. Where we currently are today is still developing, but this was yesterday, this was the day before, this was the day before that, this was the day before that. Whereas we were in the weekly where every candle represented a week. So which means 7 candles in this would have represented 1 candle in the week. So I hope you guys understand that. So this is the daily time frame. Now in the daily time frame, we can now see in the whole move that we had, let's quickly go back to the weekly time frame. In this whole move that we have over here, right, you can see there are fewer candles over here as compared to the daily time frame. So if we come over to the daily now, you can now see it's much more elaborated. You can see how the markets came back down, went up, came back down, went up, came down, went up, came down, went up, came back down some more. You can now look at it in a little bit more detail. Okay, all right, so now let's look at the beginning of the whole movement all the way from 2020. This was when the market started moving all the way from 2020 going all the way to where we got to recently, and it gave us a 1500% return. Now what did the market keep doing on its way to the top? Let's take a look at it. This was the low that I was telling you guys about during coronavirus time. When coronavirus started, that we had the huge dip. What did we have right after that? We had a huge recovery, meaning that if you had bought at this point here, you would have made a good almost 200% return on your investment, right? But what did the market do right after that? We had a little correction of about 19%, you know, not so much, but you know, a correction. That was a good place for you to get into the market. Then we continued all the way, giving us a 53% return. But guess what happened after that? We had another correction This was for about 20%. We kept on moving, and these are the times where we are having corrections and people will be getting into the market. Give us another return again about 102%. Like I said, the smart ones will be taking some profits along the way, or if they were not taking some profits, they were actually making more money to put into the market. You don't necessarily have to sell your profits. You can just make more money and put into the market, right? We had another little correction here of about 17%, right? And guess what kept happening? Market kept rising up to the top, and then we got another 160 approximately percent return on the market before the market started retracing again. So retrace back, this was a 31%. I'm sure a lot of people would have panicked and said that Bitcoin was dead, you know, it's time to sell their Bitcoin. Guess what the smart ones were doing? They weren't selling, they were just buying on this huge retracement. But guess what happens right after that? We had another move to the top side of 100% return on if we had gotten in down here, right? And then we had another retracement again, a 26%, right? Move right back up again, giving us a 44%, and then we came back down again, giving us a 19% before we had our final move all the way to $64,000. You can see with every single retracement that I was showing you guys, every single correction in the market, there was an opportunity to get into the market when people were getting scared and compound your money. Meaning that if you are started entering from around this time, right, when the market was early, take some profit along the way, but enter again, you will keep compounding your profit, that by the time you even got to the high of $57,000, you'd have gotten a huge return. So if you're supposed to just make maybe 100% return on your money, you're probably making like 1,000% return on your money. This is what the smart ones are actually doing about this. And corrections are very healthy in a market. People always want to buy the market at these peaks here and then start selling it on the way down, which is just what you don't want to do. All right, so what should you do? Smart investors buy the dips as the market goes down, as I've shown you guys. Here's how you can do it. You can set a price target in mind or a percentage in mind. For example, if Bitcoin increases by 100%, or 150% or 200% or even 50% from where I bought it at, then I'll take out an X amount of profit from the gain. Now, what do you do with this profit? You set it aside. Then if price keeps increasing from there by, let's say, another 20% or 50% or even another 100%, I take a little bit more profit again. What is the point of this? The point is to set aside as much money as you can so that when the market starts to dip, you can start getting back in again as the market falls. Or if you don't want to do that, you can just make more money so that as the market keeps retracing back in price, you just keep buying in and compounding everything together to keep going at a higher price. Same thing can be applied to other cryptos as well that have promising future. Emphasis on the promising future. Now, before we continue, I would like to say that everything I mentioned in this section is exactly how I will do it and doesn't have to be the same way you should do it. Now, with that being said, getting into the markets as it drops in price, it needs guidelines so as to not run out of cash before the market gets to its bottom. So what you want to do is only buy when the market falls by a huge amount. So let's say the market falls by 10%, for example. So the market falls by 10%, you get in with 5 to 10% of your reserve cash, and then you wait. If it falls again by another 10%, then you buy more with another percentage of your cash reserve. But if the market stays at more or less the same price for more than 2 weeks, you enter again with about 5% of your cash reserves. This gives you multiple opportunities to strategically get into the market at discounted prices. If let's say the market goes down by only 30% and you could only scale into the market 3 times and you've still got some cash reserves left, do not chase the market, wait for it to give you another opportunity before getting in again. Chasing the market is what makes people buy high and sell low. Now, if you're watching this video and you have never gotten into Bitcoin and you're about to do so, the best time to get in is always now. Do not wait for a better price. Get in today. The best time to get into Bitcoin is always when you've got the money. But even with this, you can still strategically get into the market. Alright, so let me show you guys an example. So you're new to the market and you heard about Bitcoin at, let's say, $40,000. You want to enter into the market at $40,000, right? So what you do is is you go in half at this price, or you can even go in with 20%. You know, it doesn't have to be half, right? The percentage is up to you, is whatever you want to do it at. Let's just say maybe you want to go in at 20%. You buy Bitcoin with 20% of the cash you've got right now. So you've got 100,000 there, you get in with 20,000 there at $40,000, and then what you do after that is wait for a retracement in price of about, let's say, 10%. Okay, so that means as the market came back down by 10% to $36,000, you get into the market, and then it kept falling right after that by another 10%. You get into the market with also another 10% of your cash, and then the market fell right back down again by another 10%, you see, which is about 3 times now. So we have this about 30%, right? As you can see on the screen. You get into the market again with another percentage of your cash, so maybe 5% or 10% of your cash. So right now you bought the market, let's say with 20% of your cash at the top here, but then it kept dropping low some more. This whole retracement down here is a 30% drop in price, which means that you still have half your cash reserve left. The market now started going back all the way to the top. You do not enter the market again because it has started going all the way back to the top. There is just no need for you to enter the market. So instead, what you do is you just wait. The market just started, it just kept going up, it kept going up all the way to 58,403. But now we had a return of 103%. So you could also still copy the previous strategy I just said, which is if the market goes up by an X number of percent, I'm going to take out 10% or 20% or 30% of my profits, right? Alright guys, Sage from the future here. Alright, so to clarify this part, I realize that some people may not understand what I mean by if you want the market to move by 100%. Basically, what I mean by that is if you want the market to double in its price from where you enter the market before taking some profit. That is what I mean. So let's say the market is currently at $30,000. And before you start taking your profit, you want the market to double or move by 100%, which means at $30,000 where you enter the market, you want the market to get to $60,000 before you take some profit from when you enter the market. That is what I mean by this. So if you want the market to move by 50% from $30,000, that just means that the market would have to move to $45,000 before you take some profit. So I hope this is clear to you. But if it's not and you've still got some questions, you know where to find me in the comment section down below. Alright, so let's get back to the video. So now that the market has gone up by 103%, I'm going to take out, let's say, 20%. But just for simplicity's sake, let's just say you made double your 50,000 naira, which is now 100,000 naira. You take out 20% from that. 20% of 50,000 naira, which is the profit of the original 50,000 naira, is 10,000 naira. Now you have 60,000 naira in your cash reserves. And what did the market start doing again after that? The market started, coming back down. So the market fell back down again by another 10%. Then you get in with 10% of your cash reserves, or whatever percentage you want to get in with, right? Then the market keeps going back down again. Let's say another 10% again. You get in with 10% of your cash reserves again. And then the market kept going down, but this time it didn't quite make another 10%. Well, you just wait. You don't chase the market, guys. You just wait. So that means you only enter this market twice on the retracement down. So you still have approximately, let's say, 48,000 naira left in your cash reserves, right? And then the market just starts going up again. It just went up by 44%, but it didn't quite hit your target of the 100% return that you were looking for. It started dropping again. So let's see how much it drops now. Okay, so we dropped by 10%, which means you enter with another percentage of your cash reserves again. Okay, we didn't quite make another 20%, but you get what I mean. So you only entered once here, and then you wait for the market to go back up again, right? Mind you guys, everything is compounding. So at this point, within this whole time now, you've entered the market, I think, about 3 times again. So by the amount of times you've scaled and taken out some profit in this market, you still have approximately 40% of your cash reserves left, right? So basically, as the markets keep giving you a discounted price, you keep entering the market until you exhaust your cash reserves. And once you've exhausted your cash reserves, you have 2 choices. When you get here, you just sit down and wait for the market to give you your returns, or you make more money. Those are the 2 choices. You don't panic sell when the market keeps going down. No, you don't want to do that. You just wait for the market to recover back, or you make more money to buy into the discounted prices. This is how the smart investors do it, at least I do it. And this way I can stay sane throughout the whole process because it all happens like clockwork. This phenomenon happens in all types of financial markets that you can think of, and our market isn't left out either. This has happened before, it is happening now, and it will happen again in future, and this is how you can be prepared for it. Anytime you see the market panicking and there's a lot of fraud in the market being driven by the media, ask yourself these questions. Has Bitcoin been hacked? Does it no more function as a way to make fast borderless transactions? Does it no more have a use case? If the answer is no to all these questions, then Bitcoin isn't dead and you shouldn't be worried, because after the dust has settled, it will rise up again, as it always does. If you enjoyed this video and would love to support this channel, ways to do that are going to be on your screen and in the description below. For more videos like this, please click on the subscribe button below and click on the notification bell right next to it. I release new videos every week and you'll be the first to be notified when that happens. And don't forget to like this video and share it with people who you think need to see it as well. Thank you very much, and that's all for this video, and I will see you guys soon. Cheers.